You're listening to
Catholic Sprout,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith.
Greetings, young Squire Sprouts. Today is the second day in the 9th month in the year of our Lord 2023. My name is Sir Roland Paterlot, and you're listening to Saturdays with Sir Roland on Catholic Sprouts, where every Saturday we discuss the art of dragon slaying. Last week we started a discussion on the dragon slaying maxim, try your best and trust in God's grace to do all the rest. We have 7 dragon slaying maxims in total, but this first one really is the maxim of all the maxims. Remember that a maxim is a short, pithy statement that expresses a general truth or a rule of conduct, and all of our dragon-slaying maxims rhyme, of course. Trying our best and trusting in God's grace to do the rest is the foundational formula to dragon-slaying and becoming a saint. It revolves around the virtue of humility because we must admit that without God we can do nothing, but with God we can do great things if we allow Him to work through us. It reminds me of a quote attributed to St. Ignatius of Loyola, "Work like everything depends on you and pray like everything depends on God." If you live by this maxim, it will help you develop many virtues, such as generosity, which is the virtue I'd like to discuss today and the topic of conversation in this month's Be a Saint Kids Club and Catholic Sprouts Clubhouse. St. Mother Teresa, whose feast day we will celebrate on September 5th, is a tremendous example of generosity. She gave her life to helping the poorest of the poor, and she worked in the midst of such poverty and desolation that I'm sure many people thought she was just wasting her time. What possible difference could this little lady make in a place with thousands or even millions of poor people living in the slums? Well, she had the faith of a little child in the gospel who shared the 5 barley loaves and 2 fish with the disciples so that Jesus could feed 5,000 people. That gospel story of the feeding of the 5,000 in John chapter 6 is a great example of trying your best and trusting in God's grace to do the rest. Sometimes our best doesn't even seem worth it. Sometimes we might feel like we can't possibly make a difference in the world, so why even bother? Maybe you look in your piggy bank and there's only $5 in there. What good does it do for you to put $1 in the collection basket, you might say? Well, imagine if Mother Teresa asked that question. Imagine if she looked at her small stature and the overwhelming odds she faced and just gave up before she even started. Today, there's over 4,500 missionary of charity nuns who follow in her footsteps, and they work in 87 countries and around 160 cities. Holiness is attractive, and God took Mother Teresa's effort of trying her best and multiplied it in a powerful way. She serves thousands and thousands of people by her initial effort of trying to help the poor. When I think of St. Mother Teresa, I often think of the story about the starfish. Perhaps you've heard the story before. There's many versions, but this one is my favorite. Once upon a time, there was a young boy who lived near the beach. Every afternoon, the boy would walk along the beach. One day he was walking, he noticed that as the tide had gone out, it had left many starfish stranded on the beach. He realized if the starfish were left there, they would die before the water returned. So, as he walked along the beach, one by one, he picked up the starfish and threw them back in the water. He couldn't pick them all up because there were too many, but the ones he could, he did. From that day on, the boy would spend his afternoons walking along the beach, throwing the starfish back into the water. Then one day, as the boy was walking, an old man came walking in the other direction. The old man saw what the young boy was doing and cried out, "Hey boy, what are you doing?" The boy ignored the old man and continued to pick up the starfish one by one as he walked, and he threw them back into the water. But as the old man got closer, he came right up to the boy and he said, "Hey boy, what are you doing? You're never going to make a difference. Why don't you just enjoy your walk?" The boy just stood there and said nothing. Then the old man grabbed the young boy by the arm, turned him around, and made him face down the beach. As the young boy and the old man looked down the beach, they could see that there were many, many starfish. The old man said, "Look, boy, there's hundreds of them, thousands of them. Look how many you've missed. You're never going to make a difference. Just forget about them. Just enjoy your walk." Just then, the young boy bent down and reached into the sand one more time and picked up one more starfish. And standing up, he threw the starfish as far as he could into the ocean. Then looking deep into the old man's eyes, he said, "I made a difference to that one, didn't I?" Well, every day, Mother Teresa gave what little she had to the poorest of the poor. There was a lot of desolation and suffering and death all around her, but she didn't give up. She focused on the person right in front of her and made a difference to that one. Here's the key. Her motivation was love. She said, "It is not how much we do, but how much love we put in the doing. It is not how much we give, but how much love we put in the giving." So how did Mother Teresa show such extreme generosity to people that she didn't even know? Well, she believed that everybody she encountered was Jesus in disguise. She wanted to treat each person she encountered like she would treat Jesus himself because she loved Jesus so much. In doing so, she was so kind and so loving to the poor and dying people that she met and encountered that they saw Jesus in her. They weren't even Christians, but they encountered Jesus through her. I once heard a story about a particular man who she was taking care of as he was dying. She found him dying on the street all alone, so she took him in and took care of him and made him feel comfortable and told him all about Jesus. And as he was dying in his final breaths, he said, "If this Jesus is anything like you, I can't wait to meet him." Many of the dragons, including the green dragon of greed, want you to ask the question, what's in it for me? The green dragon of greed always wants you to seek to get more stuff for yourself. But as the battle cry for the green dragon states, true happiness comes from a generous heart. Happiness comes from serving others. When I go into nursing homes every week, I often say this prayer, which was inspired by Mother Teresa. Lord, help me to see you in the eyes of everyone I meet so that everyone I meet might see you in me. My challenge for you this week is to find a way to make a difference in somebody else's life. Seek to give and not to get. If you do, your life will flood with happiness and joy. And until next week, I'll leave you under the protection of St. Michael the Great Archangel, St. Joseph the Terror of Dragons, and Mary, Queen of the Angels, Our Lady of Grace, and the woman whose seed crushed the head of the dragon.
That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be.
Hey, parents and kids, our resource of the week for the Dragon Slayers Training Guild is a sneak peek at our new image of the Green Dragon Argyros, drawn by my 16-year-old daughter, Lady Hannah. This dragon is big and greedy, and seeing this dragon, you will be inspired to slay greed and be generous. If you aren't in the Training Guild yet, we would love for you to join for free. It would be a great act of generosity and really make my day if you register right now. So just go to extraordinarymission.com/dragonslayers. And remember, listen to Catholic Sprouts every day, including Saturdays with Sir Roland.
This podcast is part of the Spoke Street Network. For more great podcasts, visit spokestreet.com.